Welcome to my channel.
And this is English Podcast Station.
Okay, so going to the airport.
Right.
It's pretty fundamental for travel, wouldn't you say? But it can feel tricky, especially if English isn't your first language or you just, haven't flown much.
Definitely a bit of a maze sometimes, yeah.
So we thought we'd dive into it today. Our main guide is the IELTS podcast, Going to the Airport.
Ah, yes, the one James and Erica did. Really helpful, especially since it's aimed right at beginners.
Exactly. And our goal here really is just to pull out the most important bits from their advice.
Kind of streamline it, make that next airport trip feel a bit less overwhelming for you.
Hopefully, yeah. A smoother experience all around. So where do James and Erica suggest we even begin?
Well, they start before you even leave the house, which makes sense, packing your bag.
Sounds obvious, maybe, but it's crucial. They mention the basics, clothes, shoes, toothbrush, standard stuff.
But they really zero in on one item that's just non-negotiable.
Let me guess.
Passport.
You got it. Your passport. It's your main ID for international travel. Absolutely essential. Can't go anywhere without it, really.
Nope. It's the key.
Okay, so passport secured. Then James and Erica talk about the different types of bags you might have. They make a distinction.
Yeah, this is really useful. They talk about checked luggage and carry-on luggage.
So checked luggage first. What's the deal with that one?
That's the big one, usually. As they put it, it's the big bag you give to the airline.
Right. So you don't carry this one onto the plane with you.
Exactly. You hand it over when you check in at the airline counter.
Ah, okay. And it goes somewhere else.
It gets loaded into the plane's cargo hold. You won't see it again until you land and pick it up at baggage claim.
Gotcha. So that's the checked bag. What about the other type? Carry-on.
Carry-on luggage, yeah.
Huh.
That's the small bag you take with you on the plane.
The one that stays with you.
Precisely. You keep it with you the whole time.
And where does it go once you're actually on the plane?
Well, usually it goes in the overhead bin, the storage compartment above your seat. Or sometimes, if it's small enough, you can put it under the seat in front of you.
Right. Now, there's something important about the carry-on bag before you get on the plane, isn't there? Something about security.
Yes, absolutely. When you go through the security check, your carry-on has to be scanned.
Scanned? How?
You'll need to put it on a conveyor belt, and it goes through an X-ray machine so they can see what's inside.
Ah, okay. Makes sense. So thinking about what goes in that carry-on, did James and Erica give examples? Things they usually pack?
They did, yeah. Some really practical things, like a phone charger, always essential.
Oh, yeah.
A book, maybe, or an e-reader. Snacks are a good idea, too.
Can save you some money at the airport kiosks.
For sure. And for comfort, maybe a travel pillow, headphones.
Good shout. What else?
Oh, and they mentioned a water bottle.
A water bottle. But aren't there rules about liquids?
Ah, good point. Yes. You generally can't take a full water bottle through security.
Right.
But what many people do, and it's a great tip, is bring an empty bottle. Then, once you're past security, you can fill it up at a water fountain.
That's clever. Okay, good tip. So bags are packed. Passport is ready. What's next? Getting to the airport.
Right. James and Erica cover the main options here. You could drive your own car, use airport parking.
Which can be pricey sometimes.
It can be. Or you could take a taxi or use a ride-sharing app.
Okay.
There's also public transport, buses, trains, and they point out that lots of cities have special airport buses or trains.
Yeah, those can be quite direct and often cheaper.
Definitely worth looking into. But no matter how you get there, they stress one thing really strongly.
What's that?
Arrive early, like really early.
How early are we talking?
They recommend at least 2, maybe even 3 hours before your flight is scheduled to depart.
Wow, 2 or 3 hours. Why so long?
Well, it seems like a lot, but you need that time. It gives you a buffer, you know? Enough time to check in your bags, get through security.
Which can have queues.
Exactly. And then you still need to find your gate, which might be quite far away in a big airport.
Right. Rushing is just stressful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so arriving early is key. You're at the airport now. First stop.
Check in. According to James and Erica, you head to your airline's counter.
The counter for, say, British Airways or Delta or whoever you're flying with.
Correct. That's where you officially register for your flight.
And what do you need there? Passport again?
Passport, yes. And your ticket. Or, more accurately, your boarding pass information.
Right, because the ticket might just be on your phone these days.
Exactly. Could be a printout, could be on your phone app. The airline staff check your passport, confirm your booking.
And this is where you hand over that big checked bag we talked about.
That's the place. They'll weigh it, tag it, and take it from you there.
Okay. And what do you get back from them?
You get your actual boarding pass. This might be a printed card, or they might confirm it's on your phone.
And that pass has important info, right?
Crucial info. It tells you your gate number, where you need to go to wait for the plane, and your seat number on the plane itself.
Like gate B22, C12A, something like that.
Precisely. Keep that safe.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, check-in done. Next up is usually the bit people find a bit daunting. Security.
Security check, yeah.
Mhm.
It's essential for safety, of course. This is where they check both passengers and their carry-on bags.
And you need, let me guess, passport and boarding pass again.
You got it. Have them ready to show the security officers.
Okay. And then your carry-on bag goes on that belt thing again.
Yep. Onto the conveyor belt through the x-ray scanner.
And you yourself have to do something too.
You do. You walk through a metal detector arch.
Ah, right. And do you need to take anything off? I always forget this bit.
It's pretty standard now. Usually you need to take off your jacket, your belt, often your shoes too.
Shoes as well.
Yeah. And any big electronics like your laptop or tablet usually need to come out of your bag and go into a separate tray for the scanner.
Why is that?
They're just bulky items, and taking them out makes it easier for the x-ray to see everything else in your bag clearly.
Makes sense. Okay, so you get through security, collect your stuff. Phew. What now?
Now you can relax a little. The next step is finding your departure gate.
The gate number that was on the boarding pass.
Exactly. The gate is basically the waiting area for your specific flight.
And what can you do while you're waiting there? Might be a while if you arrived early.
True. Well, you can sit down, read your book, maybe buy a coffee or some food, use your phone.
Standard waiting room stuff.
Mhm.
But there's something important to keep an eye on, right?
Very important. The big screens. The flight information displays.
Ah, yes, those huge boards.
They show all the flights, the times, the destinations, and critically, the gate numbers. You need to check those screens.
Why check again if it's on your boarding pass?
Because sometimes gates change. It happens. So you need to make sure you're still at the right gate for your flight number.
Good point. Double check. And James and Erica also mentioned delays, didn't they?
They did. Flights can be delayed, meaning they'll leave later than scheduled.
So you need to listen out.
Yes, listen for announcements over the airport speakers. They'll announce delays or gate changes. Keep your ears open.
Okay. Waiting, checking screens, listening. Eventually, they'll announce boarding.
Correct. Boarding is just the word for getting onto the plane.
How does that work? Do you just rush on?
Ha! No, not usually. They'll make an announcement for your flight, maybe calling people by row numbers or boarding groups.
Ah, okay.
They'll need to show your boarding pass again to the airline staff at the gate.
Right. And then you actually get to the plane. How does that happen?
Well, sometimes it's simple. You walk down a sort of enclosed hallway called a jet bridge directly onto the plane. Other times, maybe if the plane is parked further away, you might take a short bus ride from the gate out to the aircraft steps.
I've done that before.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get to the plane door.
And you'll be greeted by a flight attendant. They're the airline crew who work on the plane.
They check your ticket again or help you find your seat.
They might glance at your boarding pass, yeah, and they can definitely help you find your seat if you need directions. Their main job is passenger safety and comfort during the flight.
Gotcha. And what about that carry-on bag you've been holding on to?
Right, nearly forgot. You need to stow that away before you sit down.
Stow. Where?
Remember the overhead bin we mentioned? Above the seats. That's the main place. Or if it fits under the seat in front of you.
Okay. Overhead bin or under the seat. Flight attendants can help if it's tricky.
Usually, yes. They're used to helping people get settled.
Right. And then the final step.
Find your actual seat, that number and letter from your boarding pass, sit down, and buckle up. Fasten your seatbelt.
And you're ready for takeoff.
Exactly. All set for the flight. You know, it's really great how James and Erica broke down what can feel like a really complex process.
Yeah, into clear, manageable steps. 'Cause especially thinking about someone learning English or flying for the first time, it makes it seem much less intimidating.
Totally agree.
So just to quickly run through it again for everyone listening, we started with packing, remembering that vital passport, and knowing the difference between checked and carry-on bags.
Then getting to the airport, and the big advice, arrive early, at least 2 or 3 hours before.
Then navigating the airport itself, the check-in counter, getting your boarding pass.
Moving through the security check, taking off jackets, belts, shoes, getting laptops out.
Then finding your gate, watching the information screens, listening for announcements about delays or gate changes.
And finally, the boarding process. Showing your pass, getting onto the plane, stowing your carry-on, finding your seat, and fastening that seatbelt.
All explained really clearly in that IELTS podcast, Going to the Airport episode.
And they mentioned they might cover more things later, didn't they? Like reading airport signs or talking to staff.
Yeah, things like understanding signs, what to say to staff, figuring out flight announcements. It suggests there's always a bit more you can learn to make travel smoother.
Which is true. Practice helps a lot too.
Definitely. So, a final thought for you listening. Thinking about all those steps we just walked through, which part feels clearest to you now? Which bit feels like, okay, I've got this?
And maybe what questions are still lingering? What part still feels a little fuzzy?
Yeah, maybe thinking about that could point you towards revisiting that original IELTS podcast episode or just preparing mentally for your next trip, something to mull over.